DieHard Derek Gordon, and it's that Midnight Hustle. We're back again. Thanks for joining us. Man, it's such an honor right now to be talking to this guy because, again, man, you know, I talk to wrestlers all the time, but when you're talking to a dude, not somebody who's at the top of the echelon, somebody who's spending billions and doing all sorts of shit out there in the world. Here's a guy who's got a true story, man. Some shit that you can learn from. Some guy who's seen the high roads, who's seen the peaks and the valleys, man. Fuck it. Let's just bring him on right now. We're talking about, you may have remembered him in the WWE as Aldo Montoya, the Portuguese man of war, but I guarantee you that he's just etched in your memory as one of the ECW world champions, one and only Just Incredible. Now, do I call you Justin or do I call you PJ? Like, how do you want to
both. PJ's fine. PJ's fine. PJ or Justin, they're really fine.
Listen, man, there's so much shit that we can talk about, so many things we got to cover, but I'm not sure how often you get asked this question. How are you doing today? Like, how is PJ living his life? How you all right?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. You know, could things be better? As far as from a point of view of, you know, am I earning a living? Or is my health okay? Sure. You know, my career okay. So things are hanging in there. You know, my family's doing well, which is always a plus. My kids are starting. My oldest is starting his senior year of university at Rowan University in New Jersey, which is a huge deal. My daughter is starting her senior year of high school, and my youngest son is 14. He's starting his first year as a freshman. Nice. So really important year for the kids, and for myself. Really, it's been the first kind of 4 or 5 month period where I went from zero bookings, zero ways to make money at all with COVID to now slowly, not to a huge percent, but a good amount of bookings. Podcasts have been a really, really good way, to help, to kind of help me get a little bit of fruit on the table. It's hard. I've had a real job. I'm working a real job, but most people don't understand. I don't think when you're a guy like myself, he's 47 years old, and my biggest experience in life as someone looking for a job. What do you do? What does your resume look like? And most of my adult life, I've been a professional wrestler. Working with either the WWE or ECW or various independents, Impact Wrestling, Japan, you name it. So to get a regular job, a decent paying job, which I know I'm not the only one out there having this problem, it's very difficult. It's been a very, very big challenge to kind of do it. So yeah. But things are good. I'm here talking to you, which is great. This past weekend at Heroes and Hideouts comic book shop in Albany, New York, at the Albany Mall. Great turnout. We had like a team extreme, a team of ECW guys and gals. It was myself, Sandman as the big draws, then Francine. Jerry Lynn was also there. Big Jack Victory, which doesn't come out that often. He's from Florida. He was there, and Mustafa from ECW, New Jack's partner. So all of us were there signing autographs at this great place. If you're ever in the area, and this is a shameless plug, I don't even get anything. I'm just a mark for the place. It's called Heroes Hideout. Killer comic book place. If you're in, like I said, if you're in the Albany area, awesome place, and it's right inside the mall. So I did that Saturday. And that's it, man. That's it. Other than that, just hustling and working and just trying to do as much as I can to stay relevant in professional wrestling.
Man, and that's great because, right before COVID, and it's probably even back to like 2017, there was like an uncomfortably scary video of you out there at an indie show. You like, winter jacket and stuff like that, had a couple of drinks in you. And it just starts circulating the internet. You're like, fuck, man, I hope PJ's not the next dude that we're going to end up hearing about wrestling.
When was that? That's an old video.
Is it? Right? Was it old in 2017?
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, that had to be 2016, 2015.
Okay. All right. So it's a lot older.
Oh, yeah. That was actually, that whole thing was the journey the beginning of kind of, people reaching out and wanting to do a documentary about me, hopefully getting back on track. So that was a while ago. But
and it's one of those things, because I mean, you bring so much to the business, and we know what your undying love for the business is and how passionate you are about it. And wrestling's just that fucking thing that when it doesn't love you anymore, it's just like, yo, we're done. We've had enough. We did everything we could do for you. Good luck on life. And like you said, man, when you've been doing wrestling so long, like I was doing a lot of wrestling shit since 1992. Right. And when you put that on a resume, a lot of people, they end up taking the interview just to talk. Oh man, so you met Hogan, you met Savage, you've done this, you've done that. And I'm like, yo, am I getting the fucking job? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, everything that you've done doesn't translate to experience to get this position.
No,
and
it doesn't.
It crushes me.
It does, and it's also it's people that are very short-sighted because they don't understand what being a professional wrestler actually entails. It entails, first of all, you've traveled the world, right? So that's huge, for somebody applying for a job in, let's say at a Walmart or something like that. It's like, you've traveled the world. You could speak several languages. You know about different cultures. You certainly know about most things that a lot of people that never left their state know. So, being a professional wrestler really, like, you learn life stuff that far exceeds anything that a school can provide you. It's actually really amazing because most of the stuff I have learned since I was 19 years old, been traveling the globe. I mean, I've been from South Africa to Japan to, all the way down in South America to England, Portugal, France, all throughout Canada. I've been, the only place I haven't gone that would be easier is Australia, which I'm loving to do someday. Hopefully I can. But just the fact of seeing all these cultures and knowing how to speak some of the languages and stuff. I mean, I wish there were places for that in a resume because what we do is so unique, and the fact that you also know how to communicate and be on television, know how to communicate at all, because really pro wrestling, a lot of it is communication, both behind screen and on screen.
Right.
So there's a lot going on that really could be associated with day-to-day life and getting jobs.
It's funny. I see a lot of ex-wrestlers who end up going into sales because as a wrestler, you're in the ring and you're pulling the emotional strings of the audience, and they're watching you. You're communicating with them. You're cutting a promo. You're selling them on that next event. You sell them on your characters. They're like, well, fuck it. I can go sell a car. I can go sell real estate. And it's just like, have you gone down that road?
I have not. No. And, I'm certainly not, no door is closed. I would just like to find something I could be passionate about. And I know it's not going to happen. Hell, it may not happen at all. You never know. But I know it's not going to happen quickly. I just am hoping that, by knowing someone or by communicating with someone, that something pops up. And in all reality, maybe going back to school at some point will be a reality. I mean, I just don't know. I went to culinary school after I left the WWE in 2007, which I really enjoy. I enjoy cooking. I absolutely adore it. But
is there money in that?
That's where I was going to go. There is money in it if you're the chef, if you're the head chef, if you are really writing the menu and ordering stuff for the restaurant, and you really become a partner with the restaurant owner as the head chef. And for something like that, yes, that does pay well, but I'm also not qualified to do so, even with culinary school. That takes a lot of experience, more so than the book knowledge that I may have obtained. Right. You need to cut your teeth with something like that. Like as it happens, you have to be on the ground floor. Sure.
Yeah, man. I'm a big fan of Jon Favreau's movie Chef, but it's like pro wrestling, man. Like you got to be one of those top dudes in order to get the critics out there, in order to make the menu, in order to have the sous chef working for you. And it's just like, that can take forever, man. It's just like being a wrestler. You're a rookie working your way up the card. You got to work your way up the menu. So it's just like, do you have time for that?
Yeah. I mean, I certainly don't. And when you get it's like wrestling with politics. You could be very good, but if you're working for a corporate restaurant like an Applebee's, a Fridays, it is all corporate structure and there's a lot of red tape and bullshit. So that's very, and they don't pay all that well. I mean, you can get paid, but it's not you're doing somebody else's food. Right, you're literally a monkey. Like a monkey, I always say a monkey could do these jobs, because even the head chefs, they are getting specific items that when I worked at Olive Garden, for example, for one of my first jobs in the kitchen, and you literally are told 1 tablespoon, not 1 teaspoon, 1 tablespoon of Alfredo sauce, half a cup of this, and you literally, and as this way, every dish, everything feels the same, tastes the same, looks the same. Because if you want to order something in, let's say, Hartford, Connecticut, you order a chicken parm. In LA, you want that chicken parm to taste the same and look the same as that one you had, because of branding. You know what I mean?
You can't get creative with your own shit. Like, spice this up a little bit. They're like, yo, it's a franchise, man. It's a chain. Make the shit taste the same everywhere else.
Literally, like, you go to McDonald's, you have to, if they say 2 pickles, they're going to put 2 pickles.
Yo, when I was a teenager, I worked at Burger King. My boys would come in. I was like, oh, double Whopper, here's 5 slices of meat. Just like, hook it up. Right. Yeah, they caught onto that shit real fast. But
they do. But, go ahead.
Oh, no, you were saying, go ahead, finish your thought.
No, it just does. I mean, that's good and all. But it's that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a job where, once again, there's very little creativity and very little excitement. It is, and again, you can't, in this day and age, and especially in my age, and in my situation, being a pro wrestler, we don't have a lot of choice. You really have to do what is in front of you. So it's been challenging. It's been challenging, but there's no money in culinary unless you have a dream of opening up a restaurant. My thing that I've been thinking about for a very long time, which I think ODB does this from TNA, is food trucks. She has a food truck where she's very successful with it, and she brings it to conventions, whether they're wrestling conventions or not. There could be Comic Cons or even like big festivals, like music festivals in parks outside. And she goes and does her weekends like that, which I think is amazing.
Yeah,
and
she's doing good too.
She's doing very good. And if I could get myself in the right, the right funding and the right backing, anybody out there, that would be something that's very, very doable with the name. And the trick to that is not necessarily having this huge menu, right? You have maybe 4 or 5 items that in those 4 or 5 items that you sell out of your truck, that it's going to be a home run. It's going to be a grand slam, whichever you pick. You have a chicken dish, a beef dish, whatever. And but that those dishes are going to be, you know what I mean? And you find out what people like, what are people in the mood for, you know what I mean? You don't want to be too specific to, okay, I'm not going to open up a taco place, because guess what? You got the Mexican people doing it, and they're doing it very authentic from a place of, I'm using grandma's recipe, and it's absolutely fabulous. You're not going to outcook that. So you also got to find something that's not even from a cultural standpoint, but something that truly is you, and something that you could do better, or as good as the best guy out there. You really do.
Your wife taking advantage of that? She's like, yo, listen, I do the cleaning, I take care of the kids, I do all. You do the cooking. You went to fucking culinary school. Cooking's on you tonight.
Lot of times, yes, I would say, but hear me out here. A lot of times it's not her fault. I want to, and she gets kind of, which, sometimes it works to the point where she gets hot, and she'll demand to do it, because there are some things, not many, but some things that she does do better than me.
Okay.
I'll give her that much. Like she does a good roast pork tenderloin that we had last night, which was delicious. But when I did it not too long ago, I did from scratch and not even looking at a recipe off my own head. I took a shitload of regular honey, like real honey, a Dijon mustard, a little white wine, shitload of garlic, and made a nice little rub with honey, mustard, garlic. You know what I mean? Then you rub it on top of the pork tenderloin. Then you throw it in there and you sear it and bake it. Forget about it. With the white wine on top, shit, it's unbelievable. Yeah. So that's the kind of stuff I'm into.
Have you tried getting on with like one of these reality shows, these cooking shows, the cook-offs?
I have not. No, I have not. No, because that stuff. Yeah, I've known people. I've known chefs that have done that stuff, that have tried to go and do that that route of work. But like anything else, it's like Vince, trying to break in. It's a lot of politics. A lot of bullshit. Like, they already, it's like when you go into the auditions, they kind of already have their boy. You know what I mean? They want, what they want from that is they want somebody who has a little bit of local name, right? Somebody who's made a name for himself locally, statewide, whatever, has done a little something. Then of course looks comes into play. And in today's cancel culture or woke culture, you're going to have somebody who's, who looks a certain way, who's good, looks. You want a good looking man or woman. You want somebody for every demographic. You want an African American. You want, an Asian.
Right. You need diversity to sell the show now.
Absolutely. You'll need someone that's either gay or from the LGBTQ community. So it has to kind of, so it's very difficult, and so it is what it is. That's how those shows go. So I've never even been enticed, but I'm sure they would be fun.
Well, let's talk a little wrestling before people start losing their fucking minds watching this thing. But I want to talk to you quickly about your documentary, because a couple of years ago, maybe it's probably even 10 years ago now, Darren Aronofsky's movie The Wrestler comes out. And being in the Northeast, at least that's where I was born and raised, up in New York. I'm down in Tampa now, so there's not much wrestling. There's wrestling, but not the way you would think it is.
Right.
In Northeast, though, you'd go to those conventions, you'd see the guys like, holy shit, this is my hero, and now he's there signing for $20.
Yeah.
A guy who's a former world champion, now working the indie shows. How does that fuck with you mentally?
It did for a very long time. Both before I got to that point, because for a long time I was like, that'll never happen. It'll never be that way. And then as you're getting older, and you got to understand, for a very long time, this has a lot to do with the way wrestling really, I say D-Day for wrestling, the day that WCW was bought out by Vince McMahon, and the day that ECW also was, in essence, it was shut down, but the rights were bought out by Vince McMahon. At that moment, you had hundreds of wrestlers wrestling and signed by 3 individual companies, which meant hundreds of wrestlers employed, working for Vince, working for Ted Turner's WCW, working for Paul Heyman's ECW. It was great. Now in 2001, that all disappears. I was lucky enough when the game of musical contracts or musical chairs stopped. I was lucky. I got signed right away to the WWE. So a couple of my friends did. Most of them did not. They ended up there initially or later on, but afterwards. But they weren't at first. So there were hundreds of people, men and women, out of jobs. And really no other promotions. So what had happened was, until really like TNA came about, and other promotions that started to, Ring of Honor, of course, but nothing to the level, magnitude financially of a WWE. It really, made people legends especially, have no choice, right? But to go out and look for work, because there was nobody else doing anything. Not up until the past 3 years or so, where Impact Wrestling is contracting people to, not a ton of money, but $52,000 plus $1,000 contracts, some a little more, some are six figures. Ring of Honor, they're doing 52 plus, on some guys. AEW obviously has their pocket open and they're signing a lot of people.
Yeah.
So, then, you're going back to 2001, that hadn't happened in almost 20 years, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people had to take these indie bookings and had to do these conventions. Because if you really notice, the convention circuit started to really take off around 2002, 2003. They were always around, but they were very fringe, very once in a while. Now they started popping, and they usually were like around New York, right? Now they're popping up in Philly, they're popping up in Tampa, they're popping up all over the country and becoming very popular. Then the autograph thing started to happen, because before there was the trading of autographs, the market for autographs. The action figures was a big thing, because, at these conventions, fans wanted action figures signed, and they just keep bombarding the marketplace. So really the industry created this little bubble. So when I see guys doing it now, it's almost like, really, I feel bad for some of them, but a lot of them didn't have that. It's almost like from 2001 till now, 20 years happened, and a lot of the guys got old, and a lot of the guys missed out on those years of earning, hundreds of thousands of dollars. For example, Lance Storm left ECW for WCW, I think in '99, and he signed a 3-year guaranteed deal, upward to about $800,000 a year. And I was offered a deal as well. I said no. I wanted to become ECW champion, because I thought ECW was going to go on for a long time, and I'd rather be a big fish there, because I was making good money there, almost $200,000 a year, working 2-3 nights a week. Wasn't a bad gig at all. So long story short, Lance, not only I know that ECW WCW went out of business before Lance's contract expired, but the way those contracts were written, Lance got paid every penny of that $800,000 a year. So 800,000 times 3, that's 2 point something million dollars that he got paid off, and a lot of it for staying at home.
Yeah.
So think about that. A lot of wrestlers, including myself, never got those big, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Those
there wasn't even guaranteed
where
contracts.
You can take $1 million of that, invest it.
They were going on the strength of the house shows
and live off the interest. So yeah, that's really what happened. Was a lot of we didn't get a lot of that opportunity to make money, so we had no choice but to go out there and do that.
Yeah, man, and it's tough, because, like I said, back in the '80s, they were working on the strength of the house. They're like, all right, I get paid if I'm on Hogan's, on Hogan's card. Yep. And when those guaranteed contracts kicked in, a lot of those older guys are like, well, fuck, I wasn't prepared for this. I wasn't prepared for life after wrestling.
Right. Yeah.
So it's tough. But what bothers
me, I never got that guaranteed money either.
Yeah, and that's the thing, though, is that here you are, former ECW world champion. You go back to the WWE. They don't treat you like a world champion. They don't.
No, they don't.
They're like, oh, ECW. Yeah, he was a top guy, but it's ECW. Come on.
Right.
Like, yo, fuck you. First of all, that you're a world champion. You're on pay-per-views. You've got action figures. You got video games. I feel like they didn't give you the respect that you deserve when you came back.
Yeah, no, they certainly didn't. The fans sure did. And I know the wrestling establishment did. The way I was portrayed in the industry as a whole. I remember in the Pro Wrestling Illustrated Top 500, which, as we all know, is a work. Oh, yeah. But obviously, but in the industry, the way the smarts and the way the fans and everyone in the industry looked at it was much different than the WWE, because the WWE, a lot of times, they hired a Rob Van Dam and pushed him, not because they saw Rob Van Dam have 5-star matches with Jerry Lynn, because they heard the hype from the dirt sheets. Same with me. They didn't sign me because of them watching my matches or seeing me. They signed me because of the hype I had in the sheets and in the magazines and so forth, right? That made me a star to them. So yeah, that's a lot to do with it. A lot to do with it. So when we finally get there, they don't know how to handle it. Like I said, the year 2000, out of the top 500, I was number 5 out of 500. I was right up there. I think like Triple H was actually number 7 because at the time I was ECW World Champion. So I was like right under Steve Austin and The Rock and the WCW champion, whoever it was at the time. Might have been Goldberg or something. So I was like right in there as one of these main guys until all the companies kind of got bought up and kind of spit out, you know?
Yeah, man, that's a rough ride, and I can imagine. Like I said, it's got to fuck with you mentally, where maybe your life starts spinning a little bit out of control, and you start to use substances as a crutch. And again, this part of your documentary that we touched on before, the Credible documentary. Tell me a little bit about what's going on with that, where you're at with it, and what gives a little preview. We've seen the trailers online; it looks fucking phenomenal. But tell us where we're at with that.
It was just we took periods of time where we would shoot for a week. If something was going on that week or something in my life, we would then take some time off, pick up back again, almost like time in between. We would shoot, take some time off, to see kind of where things were going, if they were improving or getting better, or where the flow of it was, trying to not necessarily work the story, but really kind of, see if it's going anywhere. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was really just about me finding myself again, kind of getting away from my substance abuse, trying to get better, trying to, just fix my life and do some kind of something to stay sober. But I don't want to I don't want to go too far into the sobriety piece, because it's not one of those movies where it's about sobriety, but it certainly is a piece. It's just a movie about what happens when a wrestler is on top of the professional wrestlers on top of the world, and all of a sudden, at a young age, nonetheless, before I was even in my 40s, it all dropped out from under me. And what am I doing to kind of reclaim, not necessarily my former greatness, but just to find myself in moving forward, my happiness moving forward in life, like my redemption in life,
Yeah, and that's the thing, man, is that when you look at the story, again, pro wrestling is one of those businesses where when it doesn't love you anymore, it's like, yo, we're done. Go on to, you're fresh, you're new, you're young. Come on. We're going to make money with you. We're like, what happened to me? I put 20, 30 years of my life into this fucking business, and you're going to fucking toss me away like this? So when I see your situation, it's you're right. What do you do at that point? But my biggest question is, have you found an ending yet?
That's the problem. Both with me as a human and the movie as well. Because that's why we pretty much finished everything, and we actually have the last shot. That we have a beautiful shot. The last shot is actually up on my Instagram page. If anybody wants to go see it, it's at PJ Polaco, where I'm looking out into the into the sunset, a beautiful sunset. I'm kind of raising my hand up like that. But what that entails, I'm not quite sure yet. That's the biggest problem, is because I know as a full-time competitor, performer, pro wrestler, I know I am done. Now, will I have an indie show and wrestle? Of course. But from a mainstream, go to work for a company and be a full-time wrestler, those days are far behind me. But I would like to find, being that I'm a 3-decade performer now, and have so much unique experience. I span from 92 to 2021. I mean, we're going on all these decades, and I was one of the last guys to work through the territory days, doing the Memphis USWA stuff, in the early 90s to the days of the old WWF. I was on one of the first episodes of Monday Night Raw, to ECW, to all these, to WrestleManias, to all of these different things, to the reboot of ECW. I've gone up and down the line of every little nuance you can in the business. So I would just love to find a place to help the next generation. I feel like I'm a good communicator. I feel like I could do something to enrich today's talent in some way or another. I really think I can.
Has there been any opportunity for you maybe to take a trip down to Orlando, WWF Performance Center or WWE Performance Center? Because again,
No.
it's a matter of, first of all, I mean, you have the credentials.
Certainly.
You can communicate. You're very articulate. We've seen that in your podcasts. Why not?
I don't know. I mean, I've certainly never shown interest. Maybe because I don't know, maybe out of fear of rejection or something like that. And I also know that they're a bit overstaffed. I mean, that's the thing, is when you work for the World Wrestling Entertainment, you really can cherry pick the best.
Yeah.
I mean, when you got Shawn Michaels down there and Triple H doing stuff, I know they're not there day to day, but they're writing and stuff. But still, when you have those kinds of guys there, it's pretty intimidating. So they have so many guys and gals down there doing that. But nonetheless, I think there would be a place for me. I would love to, because I think WWE has changed so much from what I hear. Almost none of the old school guys that worked in the office, because when I was there before, you literally knew everybody. I knew the woman that worked on the front desk. I knew I knew Vince's secretary, her name was Beth. You were on first name basis with the office, very tight knit. And I think I know a lot of those people are no longer there. So now it's almost like it's a whole new crop. So I don't know. I don't know if my name would have the value that it once did. Pat Patterson's not there. Tony Gurria, Blackjack Lanza, Chief Jay Strongbow. Those guys are no longer with us. So we'll see. But we'll see. I'd like to give it a shot at AEW. That would be something, because I was just with Jerry Lynn Sunday, I should say, Sunday, when I thought we had to go that day. I was just down there with him, and he works for AEW in that department. So, maybe I could ask him someday how it is, and what it's like to work for him, and put me in touch with Tony Khan.
Well, to my understanding, you're doing a podcast now on Vince Russo's The Brand, and you're covering AEW. Is that right?
I am. That is I've been on The Brand now for ever since AEW started with Dynamite. Every episode I have covered. So yeah, absolutely.
How do you feel about that product?
It could be good at times. It could be very good at times. And there are times where it's just ridiculous. Yeah. I think in the beginning, they were very much trying to find their own way. I don't think they had any idea on what they were doing. I did not like the men and women they chose to feature. It just seemed weird. It seemed very, I don't know if you'll get this, I'm sure you will, indie-rific. Like it felt like indie guys on television. Like I'm watching an indie show on TNT. Today, fast forward all these years, really, it seems like a completely different promotion. Not necessarily because of the WWE guys that they have brought in. They have brought in a lot. But I think, Tony Khan and company have really found an understanding of pacing of a show, of kind of who to use on a show. Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss, for example, were on the show almost every week 2 years ago. which I like Joey Janela, and I like Sonny Kiss as a performer, but it wasn't resonating with me, the whole angle, the gimmick. And I don't think it resonated with a lot of wrestling fans that weren't already into that kind of indie stuff. You know what I mean? I felt like it really almost catered to that GCW style, weirder style, fringe style wrestling, instead of, hey, we're a 2-hour television show on TNT. We got a real opportunity, because if fans tune on and they see something that looks like an indie show, a 5'3" guy wearing, something goofy, and, like a Marco stunt, for example, very thin, very frail, not very good. Although, don't get me wrong, he's a courageous little fucker, but if you're not into the indie scene and do not know who this guy is, they're going to think it's a rib. So today I feel that they've gotten away from that a little bit, and they're headed in a more positive direction, in a more mainstream direction with the guys that they have. 'Cause they have some great guys, man. They have some really amazing talents. Ray Phoenix, the Bucks are a great tag team. Kenny Omega. Hangman Adam Page, who I think is ready for the title now. He's a great one. There's just so many good guys, and they're doing all the right things with those guys. And another one who I love is Jungle Jack Perry, Jungle Boy. He's a main eventer coming up. Darby Allin, I like a lot. So there's a lot of great talent out there, man. A lot of great talent out there.
I know what you're saying, because we're about the same age. I'm 46. You get what, about 47?
47, yeah.
Okay, so we grew up loving the same wrestling, something that drew us right into it. Yep. And maybe it's because we're creative. We consider ourselves artists. And what they did back in the 70s and the 80s, you believed in, you bought into it. Yes. I don't feel like this generation, whether the millennials or Generation Z, whatever the fuck they want to call themselves, they don't have the passion about the business. To them, it's and then again, the business isn't giving them a reason to be passionate. This is more, it's not about the performers. It's about the brand. And it's like Disney on Ice. Like, oh, you're going to see Goofy and Mickey and Minnie and Pluto on fucking ice skates and shit like that. But it's about the pyros, the entrance, their music. And I'm like, yo, I would never fall. If I were a kid today, I wouldn't fall in love with wrestling the way I did back in the early 80s.
Yeah. I agree. And to me, too, pro wrestling has always been about, at least for me when I was a kid watching it, larger than life guys, guys that are 6'4", 275 pounds. I remember seeing Ted DiBiase live when I wasn't in the ring yet. I was probably a year and a half out of going to train, and I was ringside, and Ted DiBiase walked by me coming from a match, and I gave him a tap on the shoulder, whatever. And I noticed how tall he was. And I'm 6 foot tall. He was at least 6'3", maybe 6'4" with the boots. And thick. Like, I remember his thighs were muscular and thick. He looked like a man's man. He looked like he could whip me from pillar to post. Yeah. And he wasn't the big guy in the WWE. You know what I'm saying?
That's the thing, though, is that when I was growing up, the wrestlers, not only big, not only muscular and giants, but they looked weathered. They looked like they've been around the world. They've done shit. They've got stories to tell. They got the miles carried on them. Now I look at these guys. I'm like, yo, that's a kid out of high school.
That's some punk. That's some punk you just saw. You were down the road there trying to date your girlfriend,
right?
Or something like that.
These kids don't age either, so it's just like I don't feel like I'm watching like fucking Kindergarten Cop instead of pro wrestling. It's not working for me, and I can't. I haven't watched Raw in about 3 years. I try to flip on AEW, and like I said, it's an indie show. And it's not the same girl I fell in love with way back in the day. She's changed. She's gained weight. She's fucking ugly now. I'm like, yo, I'm done. I can't watch this shit.
Yeah. But it's very true. And that's the thing is, like, somebody like that, they look like, when those guys, like we said about DiBiase, those big grizzled veterans, and they get into a fight and they get a little color and it gets a little nasty in there, or a little like, and it looks like it might be a shoot, then that's like, whoa, that changes the game. And when you get two guys that are $150, 5'5", then it's almost like you could break them up. You know, you want to be able to look at somebody like who I like, Brian Cage. Try fighting him in a bar.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's the kind of I'm not even saying about muscles. You don't have to be like Lex Luger, but just and not everybody needs to, nor should they be like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you need people like that too. People like a Wardlow, people like a Jake Hager, whatever his name is. He's another one that's been horribly underutilized and has all the ability in the world. He's another beast. So I'd like to see a little more of that in AEW sprinkled in with all the other stuff, you know?
All right. Well, you were a top guy in ECW, and I'm sure it broke your heart when you got that news that the whole time Paulie's in bed with Vince, the company's being financed by Vince. What do you think the chances are that there's some swerve in the background that Vince is like, yo, I need competition to help my product. Let me go fund a little bit of AEW. You think he's in bed with them?
No.
Nah, not at all?
No. I think what I think is happening is Vince is in a way going to see how much of a mark Tony Khan is. I think he's going to give away as much talent as he can and just go ahead, sign him. You'll see.
Great theory.
Kind of just, you know what I mean? And get him so much in the red, then he could just sweep right up and just finish it off.
They just implode. So you think that's that's the strategy that Vince is using now by getting rid of guys like Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt?
I don't think I don't think it's a strategy, so to speak, but I think it's one way to kind of just, you want them, take them, and then what'll happen is AEW will fail with them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not all of them, but a lot of them. You know, and I just could see that. I think in the conference call that he had with his investors, somebody asked if he saw AEW as competition, and Vince said something along the lines of no. And he goes, well, right. And one of the reporters, well, AEW seems to be investing in talent. And the line from Vince is, don't worry, we can help him out with a little more of that. Saying like, don't worry, we got some more guys.
Yeah, I'm giving you the bullets to shoot yourself in the foot. Yeah.
So, we'll see, and that's kind of the downfall of WCW as well. If you remember, they were just signing everybody to ridiculous contracts. Okay. So, you got to be careful if you're Tony Khan as well.
Yeah. I don't talk much about the current product because I don't watch enough to be informed, but there is buzz about Daniel Bryan and CM Punk going over there. You think is that a game changer for AEW?
It's a business changer. It's going to change the wrestling business. I think for the next, I don't know. I think for the rest of the year, AEW, if this is done correctly, mark my words, if this is done correctly, AEW will own the remainder of 2021. Everybody will, because look, CM Punk has been the be all and all. Because he's almost like nobody can get him. He's made it abundantly clear. He's had offers from everyone, and it's never happened. So I think now it's pretty obvious. Other than saying he's cool, I think from what I hear, he's already been signed for a while. Yeah. And when he shows up this Friday, 20. I mean, listen, they sold 14,000 tickets to the United Center, which I've wrestled there. It is huge, sold out. And this guy shows up. The ratings are going to skyrocket. The place is good. The ticket sales all across the board now. The wrestling world is going to go nuts. Because nobody honestly thought they would get to see CM Punk again, especially for the first round of gigs. Forget about it.
Business-wise, it's a great shot in the arm for that night. What do you do though after that? You start booking him in shit matches with Jericho or MJF. It's like after a while, the creative isn't there. Like, oh, I remember when you came, a big pop. I don't give a fuck anymore.
Right. No, they will. And I think, and I think Punk will also have ideas and will, I think he'll work with them to get the right people that he wants to do business with. Okay. I think this is going to be very cool. Like I said, I think this is going to be something that we have not seen in a long, long time. This will be a game changer. It really will. And if this doesn't if this doesn't spark a wrestling uptick, like another boom period, then I don't know what will. Okay. And I could see this happening.
All right. I want to talk about you a little bit more, but about your career. I mean, that's what people are interested in when they see you on here.
Sure.
I want to talk about friends in the business, because friends are few and far between. You know,
sure.
when you're on when I was booking NWA Cyberspace, my phone's blowing up 24 hours a day. Brother, can you get me booked? Hey, what's the finish on this? What are we doing? The minute the promotion ended, it was just like, oh, hey, yeah.
What happened?
Good seeing you. Oh, man, it's been a while. It fucking dies. The friends in the business, man. You know, you came up in the early 90s. Mm-hmm. And, you know, there's always talk about PJ being part of the Kliq. I mean, were you an official Kliq member, or is that just the hype because, you know, you were riding around with Scott and Sean?
I mean, I don't know if I mean, how would one be called I mean, there was no official status.
Yeah, of course not.
I drove with those guys every show. I was in the car with them every weekend until I left. So I get, you know, I would say yes.
I just feel like every time they discuss, the Kliq, and we had the power in the back, we had Vince's here, they never mention your name.
Yeah, because I don't think the power was, a lot of it was distorted, and it wasn't what people may think. Okay. It was mostly just it was like a Sean and Kevin thing. And then Scott left right after, really, and all that. And then, you know, the Kliq really was mostly at its peak would 96-ish.
Okay.
You know,
you were still there,
95,
though, right?
90, I left in 97, summer of 97.
Were you there for the curtain call?
I was there at the Garden, yeah.
So they didn't even think about bringing you out for that? Just say goodbye?
Anyone, first of all, anybody had the right to go out there.
Okay.
I was just like, if I go out there, I'm done, right?
Yeah.
You know, you gotta know your role. And me being a 1.5, 2 year veteran or whatever, young boy, right. Forget it. I would have never worked for the company again. You know?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And the reason why I'm asking is we were talking about you possibly, you know, if there was an opportunity at the Performance Center,
sure.
And if you had that association with the Kliq, the boys who are running NXT now, why wouldn't they look to take care of their friend? Like, yo, man, I see you on a little bit of a hard time. Come over here. You got so much that you can share with these kids. Let's take care of you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think there will come a time where you know, maybe I start to inquire, right? Because I've always taken a step of, you know, sometimes in wrestling, every job that I've ever received has come to me. You know, I've never really gone to them.
That's that pride, though. Right?
It's not even pride. I think a lot of times it's maybe fear of failure, fear of rejection.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, I think I have to get rid of that. And also, I think for me, deep down inside, I have to know that I have truly something to offer tangibly, and understand how to kind of express that to him. Like, what can I do differently or better than the people that they already have? Right. You know, what can I do to communicate that and show them? So, you know, we'll see what happens.
You know, it's very similar to my situation. Like, I never really had to ask for a job in the business. People would see my work and speak. They're like, yo, dude, I want you over here. You cut that promo or help us develop this character or run this show for us. Yeah. And I always had the phone calls like, hey, Derek, we want you in here. I never really had to ask, but maybe it was pride, or maybe it was fear of being rejected, saying, nah, we're good, we don't need you. But I never really went on tapped on somebody's show like, hey, how do I get involved? How can I be a part of this? It's a humbling experience. But we start looking at our points in our lives right now. I'm like, fuck, I got a family to take care of. I got bills to take care of. Let me swallow that shit and get what I can get.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what I eventually will have to do in all different aspects of my life. I'm gonna have to definitely think carefully.
Yeah, if you just hit up, like, yo, sure, remember that time I smuggled cocaine to Kuwait because of your ass? You're like, you know, just dude, what's that like though? I mean, I can understand you crossing the border, you going from like Connecticut to the Garden, and I got a vial of coke in my ass crack or something. But you're in Kuwait, they cut you. Yo, you don't want to be in those prisons over there.
Yeah, I don't know what I wasn't thinking.
What were you thinking, bro?
I wasn't thinking. So, yeah.
So let me ask you, we're talking about friends in the business. When you won that ECW title, you're the champion, you're the top guy there. Who from WWE called you to congratulate you?
Oh, nobody.
Oh, you fucking kidding me?
Nobody does that stuff. Nobody calls anybody because it's just a work, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, but that's the spot
Nah,
you've been aspiring, climbing for. But like, yo, PJ, you
I
made it. You're
know,
up there.
but
Good job, bro.
yeah,
You
nobody ever
deserve
does
this.
that. I've never called anybody either, though.
All
With
right,
that
then
stuff,
fuck it.
because that's not how. Yeah, you would just kind of be considered a mark.
Yeah,
You know.
yes, but I mean, you've rode with them for so long, and you all
I
have the same
know,
aspirations to be the big names.
yeah, but it would be like Rocky, Stallone winning in the Rocky movie, and then somebody calling Stallone and saying like, "Hey, you beat Apollo."
Or you mean calling Stallone about what he did on
Right,
film?
right. It's no different, really. You know what I mean?
But it's just a matter of, like I said, like you all got in this game together. You were all undercard guys.
Right. No, I got
yo,
you.
man,
I feel you.
you got your burn. You deserve this.
I feel you. I feel you.
So again, not to keep going back to the Kliq, but because of your time there, you know, Shane Douglas came through. They put him in Dean Douglas. They put Chris Candido with Skip. When you ended up going to ECW, based on how the boys treated him, the way the Kliq, they shit on them basically in WWE, were you guilty by association? Did you have to squash any of that heat? Not for them, but for you.
No, not really.
Not really?
No. I was Shane and I to this day are still very good friends.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knew. I mean, look, a lot of times things get over exaggerated, even between Scott and Shane. I don't think it was just then they were just dicks in those days. I don't know what. I think Scott was just very difficult to work with in those times. I think he thought he was who he was, and I honestly think he was trying to sabotage Shane. That being said, I think Shane was also so, I hate to say intimidated, but so cautious and maybe wanting to do good so bad that he froze up a bit. I don't know, because I know the Shane Douglas I got to be in the ring with was as good, if not better, than anybody. So I think a lot of it was just Scott giving Shane a real hard time in the ring, because Shane to me, I always know him as one of the best in ring performers.
In ring, on the mic, and the thing is,
everything.
He was cutting these passionate promos. He pretty much, his mouth is what pretty much launched ECW, and everybody followed that lead. But when he comes over after talking shit about everybody, like, "Oh, you're that guy? You using my name? Get the fuck out of here!" But
exactly.
But on the flip side, when you look at the guy like Chris Candido, who's a phenomenal worker in there, and listen, Tammy is a close friend of mine. I love her dearly. She's the first one to tell anybody with 2 ears, I was fucking Sean, and Chris didn't know about it. It's like, you're friends with the guy. I mean, do you kind of like lose a little bit of respect for him as a man? Like, yo, dude, your chick is fucking, it. It's not like she's hiding. You fucking know this.
Yeah, I did. I felt, I don't know. I don't know. I think Chris, he definitely knew. I just don't, I don't know. I think he just rather have Tammy any way he could.
Yeah.
And kind of, it's in some ways made it okay for himself mentally. I don't know. It was weird to this day. I still don't know how to, man. I guess. Yeah. But look, I like Tammy. I've never not gotten along with Tammy, but she abused him mentally, emotionally, physically. It was very sad to see because Chris was a wonderful human being, and it was just a very sad thing. I hate even thinking about it because Chris is such a nice guy, such a nice human being.
We were talking about opening a school in Jersey with him being the head trainer right before he passed about a month earlier. Holy shit, man! Yeah. Great guy, and it's just hard to see something like that. And like I said, being a friend, because there's a story I believe that Tammy was like throwing the choach in your face. She was like, "Yo, come get some."
Yeah.
And it's like that's your boy, man. What the fuck you doing?
Yeah. It's just I couldn't imagine it, and I couldn't do that to one of my friends. That's not how I roll.
Oh shit, bro. Well, listen, you were on the plane ride from hell, right?
Yeah.
You were on all that. So I mean, between them wrestling in the aisle and Michael Hayes getting his ponytail cut and whatever else they did on that trip, were you ever in fear that plane was gonna go down? Like fuck all the shenanigans, but
no, it never got that like that. It was, and of course, with time and with age, things always get a little spun out of proportion. I mean, is pretty wild, and I am going to be part of the Dark Side of the Ring is coming out with an episode on the plane ride from hell and I am on it. I speak very candidly and openly about it. So look forward to seeing me in that
Nice.
coming up next season.
Okay.
But yeah, it was pretty much what what you hear and what you've seen is what happened.
Yeah.
It really was.
I mean, they call it the plane ride from hell, and I'm thinking, oh shit, like the pilots are sleeping at the wheel.
Oh, yeah,
Fucking
no.
Brock and Kurt almost, ejecting everybody out of the plane. I'm like, how bad
No.
was it? I mean, listen, like I said,
It was pretty
boys,
bad.
the boys get wild, but
Yeah,
you were
it
never
was.
in fear of your life.
No, not like that.
Okay.
No,
All right.
no.
Good shit. So again, I mean, I know we're gonna be wrapping up here, and bro, before we even end this thing, we got to do this again. There's so much
Sure.
more that we can talk about.
Oh yeah,
you
absolutely.
got so much in that mind of yours. I want to pull out of you and share the knowledge.
Oh, absolutely, man.
But again, you're doing the podcast for Vince. What's the experience been like there? Being able to talk to the fans, engage with them. 20 years ago, when you left WWE and you weren't sure where wrestling was going to go, we didn't have all this technology. Like what we're doing right now, we'd have to find a way or do it by phone. Now you might have that opportunity to rejuvenate your image or what you contribute to the business through podcasts by using, that great mind of yours. So what's the experience been like with the brand?
I tell you, it's been a wonderful experience. Working with Vince has been amazing. He is. I tell you, I take it personally now. Why people are so negative towards him. Mm-hmm. He is one of the kindest, most wonderful people I have ever met. He's a great individual. He's fair. He's super honest, and he's like, he's a loving soul. Like, I don't understand, maybe because people don't like his booking, and maybe, can argue with him and fight him all day on that stuff. That's great. But like, as a human, like, I think he takes so much heat for it that it kind of, I never understood it. And now that I actually know him and work with him personally, I was like, wow, people could have never gotten it more wrong of how awesome of a dude he is. But hey, what are you going to do? That's, wrestling's always been like that. People that probably don't even know anything about what happened or booking or anything hear Vince Russo when they say, oh, what a dick, not even knowing. You're just supposed to say that when you hear his name, so it is what it is, man. But it's been a great experience working for him. I love working for him.
Yeah, man. Vince was a big mentor in my career when I first started in the wrestling business, and it was even before he went to WWE and started working on the magazine. He had his own radio show, Long Island, which is Vincent's World of Wrestling. So we got to know each other there. But he's always looked out for me, and like you said, I don't understand why people aren't able to separate Vince Russo, the creative writer, from the human being. Yeah. This guy is a giving guy. He looks out for people. Yeah, he might have fucked up. Who doesn't? But you don't hold him. He wore the WCW title. Who gives a shit? Like you said, it's a work.
Exactly.
Like, he had made some bad booking decisions, but don't crucify this guy.
Right. Absolutely.
Being. It's
crazy. Man. It's crazy.
But before we go, why don't you tell people where they can find you, where they can get in contact with you, and if you got like a release date for your documentary?
Sure. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, both at PJ Polaco, and go on over to prowrestlingtees.com/Just I have over 20 t-shirts, both Impact players, Aldo Montoya, and Just Incredible shirts, all there. Check it out, please. And that's it, man. The whatchamacallit, the documentary will probably be out sometime next year in January, hopefully.
Solid. All right, man.
All right.
Listen, I ask all wrestlers this question because, again, like I said, you're a passionate guy. We pretty much grew up in the same era, loving it. What was your first live event and the main event on that card?
Oh, wow. Great question. The first one was at a high school in Waterbury, Connecticut, Kennedy High School. And the main event were the Wild Samoans against Rocky Johnson and Tony Atlas for the WWF tag team titles.
All right. Good shit, man. Yes. What about like in a major arena? What was your first line?
Ric Flair versus Terry Funk. Nope. Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat. Okay. When Steamboat was the champion.
Wow, tremendous! Yes. Where'd you see this fight?
New Haven.
Okay,
New Haven Coliseum.
All right.
Yeah.
Got it. Damn, man. Yeah, I had a great one. My first event was 1985 Nassau Coliseum.
Oh, okay.
Hogan defending against Jesse Ventura.
Oh wow!
And I was like, oh shit, yeah.
That's
And
a
like
good one.
I'm really just getting into the business and understanding things and finding my favorites. Savage does a run-in and they're building up that feud there. So the comeback was like, oh, all right, it's gonna be Hogan and Tito against Jesse and Savage. I'm like, yo, Dad, get the tickets now.
Oh
Go
man,
beat it. All right.
that's crazy. Yeah, those are great. I mean, those are great matches. Great times to watch live wrestling. Yeah, amazing.
Bro, there's so much to talk about. We can chop it up all day. I want to thank you for being here. Let's do this again soon, man. Even if we do something monthly, come back. I'll pick your brain a little bit about the current product. And we will, like I said, we'll wrap it up for now, but there's more to come. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining us here. It's the Midnight Hustle Podcast. Can you dig it? This has been PJ Polaco. Just incredible. He's not just the coolest. He's just not the best. He is just incredible. We're out of here. We'll talk to you later.
See ya.